This video is about the refrain of the hymn Softly and Tenderly in the AME hymnal that I have, that is hymn number 261. The refrain reads, "Come home, you who are weary, come home. Earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling, O sinner, come home." Imagine hearing this without knowing much about Christianity. Maybe you don't have to imagine. If that's the case, I would love to hear what your first thoughts were about what this refrain means. Since I was raised in active Christianity, I have to imagine what someone without a church background might think this refrain means. Come home. Where is home? Why is Jesus calling a sinner there? For that matter, what's a sinner? If you're a good person, is Jesus not calling you home? I'm going to be honest here. When I set aside my background knowledge about the prodigal son parable, but am still influenced by the Christian culture I was raised in, then this refrain sounds like Jesus issuing an invitation to die. Here's why. Come home. Maybe someone outside of church culture wouldn't make this connection, but in my experience, home is a euphemism for heaven, or the place where Christians believe they go when they die. She went home is one way that Christians say she died. Imagine pumping gas while quietly singing, "Jesus is calling, come home." If someone overheard you, I wouldn't blame them for thinking you joined a cult and being worried that you wouldn't be alive for long. I don't know how much home, as the place a person goes after death, has infiltrated the secular culture, but in places where church culture is still strong, I could imagine someone knowing just enough to either be worried or get a laugh out of this last refrain. Think of it this way. Jesus has come to give you abundant life. He's calling you to come to the place where people go after they die. Want to join? Okay, this video may seem irreverent to you. Maybe it sounds like I'm underestimating the things people know about Christianity. Perhaps. My point is to get you to think about the jargon that Christians use and how that specialized language might give an unintended message to someone with less exposure to Christian idioms and doctrine. The reason it is important to understand when we use expressions that only make sense with sufficient background knowledge is that evangelism is a core component of Christianity. It's challenging to explain to someone what your belief is all about when you only have idioms and jargons to use in the explanation. And of course, a song is poetry. We can make allowances for that. But I still think these things are worth thinking about. So my challenge to you today is to ask you to think about the words and phrases you use to describe your faith, to explain church practices, and to answer questions about Christianity. If you didn't know anything about Christianity, would you know what those words meant? Could they have another meaning if a person lacks background knowledge in the special way of talking that Christians developed? Are there other terms that you could use that have more universal meanings? In your church services, how could you incorporate definitions into the patter? How could your familiarity with Christianity lead you to be confusing when you think you're being as clear as possible? That's all for this video. Remember, asking questions is one way that we build a strong faith. Until next time, keep asking.